Hi there. My name is David Castañeda. I'm co-founder of Visionaries 777. First of all, thank you to the CTS team for allowing us to present our technologies and our business. Through this presentation, I would like to showcase how disruption is being accelerated through XR technologies. And what we see, this will be becoming the natural evolution of the fourth industrial revolution. Just quickly about our business. So Visionary started 7 years ago. My business partners, they were part of Lego's Innovation Lab. They pioneered the use of augmented reality for different kind of solutions when it comes to interaction. They created the first patents back when AR was not possible unless there was a PC and a camera. There were no tablets and smartphones as we know them today. And so thanks to this, 7 years ago, when we started working and talking to other businesses, they quickly realized that we could add value to optimizing processes inside the organization through the use of XR technologies. Just quickly to go through this, as I know people sometimes get confused. So augmented reality, these are terms I will be using. Augmented reality is when someone is having a handheld device, this could be a phone or a tablet, and they overlay 3D assets. This could be to scale, or they could modify the size in a real world environment. Mixed reality, normally wearable devices, actually primarily hands-free, but in this case we actually have the Magic Leap example that they've opted to use a small control where you can interact with the product. But you know, if you look at the HoloLens 2, for example, we see more of hand gesture to be able to interact with the product, and we'll see more of that hands-free kind of wearable devices. Virtual reality, when your face is completely covered and your field of view is completely immersed in a virtual world. So in this case, you're not really interacting with the physical world, though there are ways in which you can activate a camera. The reality is that most of these virtual reality scenarios will have you completely immersed in a virtual world. And the last one is, of course, extended reality. So XR encompasses the three items: AR, VR, and MR. And so I just wrote a phrase at the bottom saying, you know, XR allows for the creation of a new reality by bridging the gap between physical and digital worlds. In this example, I'm showcasing the customer journey and product lifecycle of a very complex industry, such as the automotive. I selected this graph to showcase how we believe thoroughly that this kind of systems will be used by multiple departments in the future. The only pain point right now is we're waiting for the hard manufacturers to optimize this kind of hardware to make it smaller, cheaper, faster. But of course, I'll give you examples of how we are already, with the hardware available, utilizing our software to optimize processes on the design phase of a product, the manufacturing, on the training side, how this adds value to communicate with the brand, for the distributor or the dealer in this case, or the customer, and how in the future maybe we will be doing maintenance on vehicles. And of course, I also wanted to highlight that whenever we look at one brand, we shouldn't just be looking at the brand itself, like Mercedes-Benz, but the whole ecosystem of tier 1 and tier 2 suppliers. And this could be the same for an industry. If you look at whoever manufactures a ship, whoever manufactures a plane, there are multiple industries around. And we think that to accelerate the pace of this disruption, we need to be able to cater also for the suppliers in the various industries. The best way to go by implementing these kind of technologies, we think, is by using an infrastructure that could be then adapted to whatever hardware is coming out. And so if you look at the customer face, we have, you know, proprietary software that can work on any hardware. We have software that can work on more advanced hardware like Arpm, and then we have software that can be customized depending on the solution of the hardware that is available. And the idea is, of course, the more of these implementations we have, the more the customers are going to be ready for when giants like Apple, Microsoft, and Lenovo come out with these mixed reality glasses. It will just be a matter of transferring the existing software into a new hardware. And so we do believe that customers should start preparing for this now, and not just wait to be followers when everything has been established in this industry. So for this, I would like to actually start with some real live examples. I will be activating my camera to show you firsthand how this works. So I'm just initiating an app here. Now, this is an app that will be used for the development of prototyping. So in this case, I've activated my camera. This is my hand. And just imagine that you guys are in an office in Europe. I'm in Asia, and there's another colleague in the US. We could all be visualizing real time the vehicle from every angle. You could get as close as you want to the vehicle. You know, for example, let's say we're going to review the new battery mechanism of the vehicle. You could get very close and look at every single detail. And again, the fact that these are digital, this means that we can modify the product physically without having to invest a fortune in having to have digital physical reiterations. So here, for example, the mechanism of autonomous driving vehicles, how are seats going to fold in the boot of the vehicle? How are we going to have interactive dashboards? How are the seats going to be moving from left to right? All of these things are definitely helping many customers to save costs in terms of traveling, manufacture physical items. Yeah, and the idea is that the same assets, once they have been defined by the R&D team and approved by the board and they're going to manufacture them, we could use the same elements in the future to start communication initiatives. So this is an example of an app that I'm going to be running from my iPad. So here I can actually rotate the vehicle. I can visualize different models of the vehicle. This is for a luxury brand of Nissan Infiniti. I can see the vehicle in different areas. And the idea is that I can start showing the vehicle to prospective customers, even if the vehicle is not in the showroom. Here I can actually navigate the whole interior of the vehicle. But we also have to pay a lot of attention to the details because, you know, eventually the more this hardware becomes accessible, people are going to want to get closer and interact more deeply with the product. So here, for example, imagine you're in a shopping mall and a salesperson wants to show you this vehicle. What they could do is they could activate the augmented reality feature, and then they could place the vehicle in front of you. You could then even download the app and take it with you to your home or office, show it to your colleagues, to your family. You could, again, modify the colors of the vehicle. You could open the vehicle, you could make it, you know, to scale, make it smaller or bigger, and you could literally walk inside the vehicle and look at every single detail. And of course, by doing this, what we want is to facilitate the idea of creating new business models. So in the future, instead of buying a vehicle by going to a traditional sales showroom, could we have it by people downloading the app and then clicking a button, and then the car would come and pick them up. The accessibility of these tools, as I mentioned before, has been widely used now by multiple departments. And so the more we do with one department, the more we see the scalability of this. This is a great example of how we had launched this for the sales teams, but then the training team, they wanted to understand if there was a way for us to better communicate with the salespeople, how to explain technologies. As we all know, vehicles are becoming more technically advanced, and car salespeople are very good at selling 4 wheels and 5 doors, but then the differentiating point is sometimes inside the vehicle and it's invisible technology. So step by step, what we can do with this is we scan the physical vehicle. Again, this is my hand, this is my camera. I'm moving the vehicle myself, and I can see to scale the engine inside the vehicle. So this could be done also with the real vehicle to scale. And here, for example, I could see the chassis of the vehicle. Then I could explain more complex technologies to users. I could, of course, modify the languages. I have this in Mandarin, Arabic, Spanish, English. So the versatility, it is quite broad when it comes to the usability of the software. Now let me jump into another example. Remote assistance is a very big topic, especially now during COVID-19. And this is a great example of how remote assistance is working for many of our customers. So just imagine you're going to now, you need to repair this machine, but I cannot explain to you with words what every single part is. But if you just scan it with your iPad, I can remotely be saying, Michael, Mary, remove the cover fan, or identify where the spark is, the ignition plug, and remove it. So we do see many of these technologies replacing existing methods like the PowerPoint to make sure that people don't make mistakes and to make employees, of course, work more efficiently. Here, for example, I could activate the X-ray mode and I can see how the engine should be working. I could explode, what we call explode, where we actually visualize every component individually. So we can separate them. So of course, it's very useful. It's the fact that you can just download this as an app on an iPad and you can use it. And of course, if we don't have the physical item, I can activate the pure AR option. So here, for example, I would have the engine in augmented reality. And you can see the engine in AR. You can see how it's working. I could see an X-ray of the engine. Again, you could look at every component, and we could even see where that engine would fit in a motorcycle. So many of these features are built in through our software, and we are actually working a lot with companies like Vuforia from PTC. So this is a great example of how we integrate our customer needs within one of their. Oh, sorry, I've got it in the presentation. Just jump back to the keynotes. We have it implemented for preventive maintenance routines. So in this case, what you'll see is our software in action with Vuforia, where you're basically scanning barcodes, you visualize all the IoT data coming out from the ThinkWorks platform, and the operator can, in a very visual way, already understand where the problem is going to happen. So here it's going to be where the red arrows are pointing at, and it would just tell the person, you know, please be careful, and then it will guide them step by step on how to repair the machine. The fact that we work with Lego has resulted in a huge benefit for us, because the way we're looking at this is we always need to think we need to develop this kind of software, or it should be a language-less kind of software, meaning that it doesn't matter if you're speaking Mandarin, Spanish, Portuguese, or English, you should be able to repair this machine with a very visual way. And also we want to make sure that the software is so easy, it's as simple to use that regardless if you're a 10-year-old kid or an 80-year-old person, you should be able to use the software. And so this is definitely one of the advantages that we have, in-depth knowledge in the industry, and working with an amazing company like Lego, we definitely have a competitive advantage. Again, this is another great example with Vuforia. We developed this for Polaris. Here is just to showcase the implementation of augmented reality for assembly. And traditionally, of course, people can make, with traditional systems, mistakes, or you need to have one-to-one tuition. That, of course, demands a lot of resources. In the future, people could just, you know, pop on their smart glasses and then step by step be guided through the process of how to assemble a whole vehicle, or even more complex systems, even if they have no previous experience with this. And for the marketing side, again, this is an example of how we're working with suppliers in one of the industries, which is both, but we work with suppliers in other industries. And here what they're using it is to visualize how their components are being placed to scale inside the vehicle to give a better understanding of their USP to their customers. And of course, you know, we believe that this digitalization through XR will have a massive impact, especially now during COVID-19. So this is a great example of how we digitalized our customer showroom from W Motors in Dubai. This was already done 3 years ago. So it's a bit of an old project, but I thought it would be relevant to show it. It's a great example of how, even though we're restricted now by traveling due to this horrible pandemic, we can still find ways to bring people to our worlds in a virtual way. And it could be as powerful or even more powerful, because we can engage many more people than we could if we wanted to have, you know, 100 people fly over to our factory. It would just be so expensive. With this kind of technology, we could just do it virtually. And lastly, this is a great example, just to showcase that we don't always have to think of the latest technology when it comes to hardware. In this case, we wanted to show a demo that would work with any phone, as long as it has internet, where you can navigate a website, and any computer, any tablet. There's no crazy requirements. Here it's just a WebGL representation of a physical showroom or a digital showroom, where you could navigate this from your phone and be like, okay, I want to buy a vehicle. Let me explore the digital showroom of Mercedes-Benz. You could then interact with avatars, and these are real people at the other end who are communicating with you. So you could ask them questions, you could interact with them. And again, the fact that this is just all you need is internet and any kind of device, it opens the doors to many more people that may not have the latest devices. And of course, the idea is that the person cannot just interact with the digital space that you created. This could be a showroom, it could be a booth, it could be a factory, but you could also interact directly with the product. So here the customer is navigating the showroom, and once the salesperson can follow them digitally. And once a person activates a vehicle, they could then interact with the salesperson, and then the salesperson on the left-hand side could override their system. I mean, let's say take control of their screen, and then guide them, give them a guided tour of the product. So it's amazing that without having to download any app, we can already do these kind of things. So this is just to show that we're also exploring different mediums to be able to accelerate this kind of communication channels in a more disruptive way. Everything that I've showed you so far is of course customized, and then we also have our own proprietary software, and this came in the shape of Arpm a couple of years back, where we were thinking, what is one challenge that is faced by every single company, every single industry, and we realized that we still of course heavily depend on people to do many tasks when it comes to preventive maintenance, and we know the future will be predictive maintenance, when every machine, every factory will be full of sensors. But in the meantime, it'd be quite expensive to fit out a machine, every single machine and every single factory throughout the whole factory with sensors. So we're relying on people doing preventive maintenance, but of course it is difficult to monitor people remotely, for example, and to ensure the quality of these processes unless they're completely digitalized. So we wanted to eliminate the registration and collection of analog data, everything to be digitalized. And what we did was we developed a software where people have to follow the augmented reality indoor navigation system to be able to activate the virtual checklist. Now, the customer themselves, they can modify this as many times as they want, so they don't need us to get involved. And these are a huge plus for many of our customers. We have customers in Europe and China where right now, due to the COVID pandemic, they have been using the software in a factory with 20 people. Now, all of a sudden, there's 70 people who are using the software because the managers had to go back to Europe. And all they had to do was, through the installation of our system, they buy a few more iPhones, and then the person can then navigate the whole building. Even if they've never navigated before, our system will show them how to navigate it, which is the safest way to do it, and create visual alerts, collect IoT data. There's many more examples. Due to the lack of time, I'll just show you this example. So this is a customer who does facility management for buildings. So now we have the security, maintenance, and cleaning crew and disinfecting crew now utilizing the software to make sure that everything is registered digitally. So for example, this could be the first day of the job for the person. The system will show them which is the fastest route they should take to navigate wherever they have to get to. Once they step in that green point, they can then activate the virtual checklist and run through the protocols that have to be executed on that day, and then go to the next step. And then of course, this way we really optimize the way that people are working. In case they get stuck in an area, we can digitally monitor why are they spending so much time in this area. We can also, of course, if some areas don't have any sensors, let's say temperature sensing, they don't have sensors installed, the employee themselves, they can register this data through the iPad. So here we can see all these data can be registered. And so we are, as I said, one step before having everything completely with predictive data stored automatically, but we could already make decisions based on this data collected through people. And these are another great example that we did with Lenovo. So here, for example, in the picking scenario, people always get confused on the assembly line because on the right-hand side, you have a paper checklist that asks you to collect different items, but it's difficult to assign a numerical value to, let's say, a green seatbelt or a blue seatbelt, that people can make mistakes very easily. So therefore, it's just sometimes very difficult to navigate. So our system is basically created so that the factory managers, they can create the same way that we can monitor and track the indoor navigation of people. We can actually track the positioning of physical items. So here, in a very straightforward way, the factory manager could use a tablet and create virtual boxes and then say, okay, Mary or John, now it's your first day at the office, at the assembly line. I need you to prepare certain items. Just scan a QR code and the system will tell you what to do. So all you have to do is follow a blue arrow and a yellow arrow and deposit the items that this thing is requesting you to do so. So here it's pick 2 items from this box and then take them to follow the blue arrow and deposit them on this other box. So it doesn't matter if this person is building a spaceship or a motorcycle. We don't really want them to get confused. All we want them to do is to follow these instructions. And this is very powerful. Even though it looks very simple, it is very powerful because it can really show how we can make people work more efficiently and help them in case they get stuck. But everything is digitalized, so the proof is there in case they do make a mistake. We could also film and figure out what the problem was. I didn't want to go over my 20 minutes, so I spoke quite fast. I hope everything is very clear. And of course, we're more than happy to speak to you in terms of how could we help your organization throughout this digital transformation era, especially using extra technologies and real-time 3D. So feel free to get in touch with us, and thank you for your time.